It's the other side. I'm your guy, Xavier Wary, back again. It's Wednesday, August 21st, live from the DMV. And I'm excited. I'm blessed to be back. I'm so intense right now. And I'm so intense because people don't seem to understand business. People don't seem to understand impact. People don't seem to understand how to progress and move forward, right? What this episode is strictly about is the Jay-Z backlash. And I'm going to have to go ahead and announce this right now, right? Obviously, my favorite rapper is Hov, the greatest. He is the GOAT. And it's not just because of his pen game, right? It's not just because of the longevity. It's not just because of all of that. Like, that's a huge part of it. But the reason why I love Hov is because of what he stands for. He gives black people a really, really good name when it comes to the business aspect of things, right? Like, first entertainer, first rapper, first black rapper, first rapper in general to become a billionaire. That's huge. It's huge. I don't have aspirations of being a rapper anymore, right? Now, I don't have aspirations of being a rapper, but I have aspirations to be great and leave a trail of generational wealth for years and years and years to come. And Hov has kind of set a blueprint for that in a sense. And, you know, a lot of people are upset. I mentioned on the last podcast, because I didn't read too deep into it. I just saw that he was partnering with the NFL, him and Rock Nation. They're going to partner with the NFL. And I thought that was huge. I thought that was really good, but I didn't go into detail about it. And the more I found out, you know, I've been removed from social media for a while. But one thing that I found out and was brought to my attention was that people were calling him a sellout. I said, a sellout? Jay-Z's a sellout? I said, okay, why and how? And as I read what the partnership was going to be about, I continued to ask the question, why and how is he a sellout? Do we even know what a sellout really is at this point? Do we even know what Colin Kaepernick was kneeling about at this point? Do we even know what this partnership is about at this point? Again, it's the other side. I'm your guy, Xavier Ware. Thank you all for listening so very much. I'm grateful for those who still decide to listen. I'm grateful for newcomers. I'm grateful for day ones, whatever. Whoever's listening right now, thank you. I'm grateful for you. I really am. But I feel like if you believe that Jay-Z should have done this partnership strictly to get Kaepernick back into the league, then you've completely whiffed and you've missed the whole entire point of what this is supposed to be. What Jay said in the interview or in the press conference that I watched the entire thing. I know that people nowadays, they like to watch bits and pieces and they like to take a 2-minute segment out of a 40-minute video and try to base the entire video off of that 2-minute portion with very little to no context. That's not how I get down. I like to watch the entire thing, right? I like to watch how the whole thing pans out, right? Call me a traditionalist, I guess, but whatever. He said kneeling was about raising awareness for social injustice, and Cap losing his job was a result of him protesting. Now, again, where everything went haywire, you can remember it clear as day. I remember it clear as day. When the narrative began to get misconstrued it was a week in the NFL. It was when Donald Trump came to Huntsville, Alabama, my hometown of all places. How about that? It's when Donald Trump came to Huntsville, Alabama, and he referenced anybody who kneeled at the anthem as an SOB, and he completely misconstrued the narrative and said that they were kneeling because they were disrespecting the soldiers and disrespecting the country, whatever. And there were some idiots out there who actually ran with that and thought that that's what they were kneeling for, right? Those are people who we like to say can't think for themselves. So that is what happened. And obviously, people who knew understood that that's not what Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for. That's not what anybody else was kneeling for. They were kneeling because of the social injustices going on in the country pertaining to African Americans and minorities. And they were saying they're not going to stand during the anthem and, you know, while the country proclaims to stand for something, but yet whole time this is what's going on. They were going to kneel during the anthem. I thought it was a cool start. Emphasis on the start. I thought it was a cool start. And for Jay to say that we're past kneeling, there's nothing, we are past kneeling. At this point, that was what, 2-3 years ago. We're past kneeling. At this point, what is kneeling doing anymore? Besides, it's just stirring up controversy and just having more discussion about kneeling. Like, people, People put so much emphasis on the kneeling that they completely forgot about what the kneeling was for, right? Even when people were saying that the kneeling was for that and for this and it was wrong, it always came back to, should he kneel, should he not kneel? Okay, well, can we talk about what's actually going on and what the issue is? The narrative was completely manipulated once Donald Trump got involved. And so to everybody who's upset with Jay saying, why is he partnering with the NFL after he told such and such not to do this, or he, made the lyric in the song, saying, I said no to the Super Bowl, you need me, I don't need you. And then he goes and partner with them. Somebody once said, don't bring me a problem without a solution. And one thing that I watched in the interview, when Jay said this, he was very genuine and honest when he asked this question. He wasn't cynical, right? And he wasn't being pessimistic. He asked an honest question. He said, if you have a better way, please show me. I'm all ears. Do you have a better way? Does anybody have a better way? Yeah, you can you can be upset with somebody, right? You can throw stones at them. You can cast stones at them. You can tear them to shreds for the decisions that they're making. But if you don't offer them a better solution, then what are you doing? You're not doing anything. You're not fixing the issue. You see what I mean? So that's something that he mentioned also, not to mention too, the fact that he talks about his 365 days. We all have 365. If you've made it to this part in life, then we've all had our 365, right? So he also asked the question, again, being genuine and sincere, saying, well, what have you done in your 365 days, right? I can go back step by step and tell you what I've done in my 365 days, but what have you done with yours? He's helped with the Meek Mill situation, helped with the 21 Savage situation, helped with other lower profile African Americans get out of certain unfair situations within the judicial system. At one point he gave us 444. I like to look at 444 as an audiobook or a guide to black wealth and knowledge. You know what I mean? It's that good. Like, it's a masterpiece. And 444 really changed my life in a sense to where it changed my perspective on how I want to attack certain things in life. It's neither here nor there, but just to let you know about the impact. Jay's done that, right? So his track record speaks for itself, yet here we are questioning one decision. And why are we questioning the decision? Well, because he's partnering with the bad guy, although sometimes in order to make change, you gotta change from within. They're mad because Kaepernick doesn't have a job, but yet they're still watching the league. So obviously people are not as mad as they're proclaiming to be. This is the problem with stuff nowadays. To be offended has now become a trend in America. It's a trend to be offended, and it's a trend to be pissed off, and to find a reason to be pissed off at somebody. So, instead of, because we don't know the details, the nuances, all that type of stuff, people are now sitting here like, oh, well, he's a sellout, because he's a businessman too, right? And typically I think businessmen get a bad rep, because the people think they only care about money. Some people call him a sellout. Some people say he's a capitalist. Whatever you want to say. The thing about it is this: when it comes to what Jay is doing, you have to understand and recognize that it's not. It's you can't give too much away. That's what I honestly believe. I feel like you can't give too much away. I'm being an optimist here. I'm being an optimist because his track record speaks for itself. Let this have been somebody else who does not have a positive track record, then I could understand the backlash. I could understand the initial frustrations with finding out the reports of what happened. But because his track record speaks for itself, I mean, again, this guy gave us 444, a great album. This sheds knowledge and wealth. He created Tidal, right? A black-owned app that black people don't even use. How funny is that, right? Again, it's very funny to me how he's a sellout, yet he's done so much for the African American community. You know what he said in Kill Jay-Z? He said, they'll never love you. You'll never be enough. Let's just keep it real, Jay-Z. It's a lyric in the opening track, Kill Jay-Z. He understands. He can do all of, but this is life, right? He can do all of this. He can again, create the documentary for Trayvon Martin and others, right? He could help Meek Mill out. He could help 21 Savage out. Other lower profile African Americans. Deliver on 444. And a lot more other stuff. But he does a move that y'all don't understand because y'all don't know the exact details of it. And because he didn't get Colin Kaepernick back into the league, he's a sellout. Understand just how idiotic that is to really call someone a sellout when their track record speaks for itself. And because you have not the slightest clue, I guess, as to what exactly this partnership details, automatically a sellout. Automatically a sellout. The way that I see this partnership going is this. He mentioned in the interview that the number one genre in the world is rap. It's been that way, even going back to the 90s, right? But now because we can see the numbers, they can't lie to us. Before, it was always rap, right? As Jay put it, he even used the example of like 1998. But he said that rap has been the biggest genre. The only difference is we couldn't see the numbers because of streaming platforms and things of that nature. Now we have the streaming platform, so we can definitely see that rap is the biggest genre. All right, remember, hold on to that. Now we look into what is the biggest event in America. What's the number one event in America? It's the Super Bowl. Yes, it's the Super Bowl. Why? Why is it the Super Bowl? People who don't even watch football watch the Super Bowl. There may be somebody who doesn't even listen to sports, but maybe I'm talking about Hov. I'm talking about Jay. So maybe they want to listen. Look, the Super Bowl is the biggest event in America. People don't even always watch it for the football. People watch it for, get this, commercials and the halftime performance. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you take the biggest genre in the world, you take the biggest event in America. Think about the power that you could create by doing that, by bridging the gap. Because what he also talked about was there's a lack of communication. He used a brilliant example. He talked about officers and black people. He said you can't put people who are scared, you can't put cops who are scared to police in the neighborhood and police those neighborhoods because everything's going to be an overreaction. Okay? And why is that? That is because you don't understand there's a lack of communication. If I'm a dude, like I've been doing this whole video, talking with my hands, somebody who does not understand me or understand my culture may think, wow, he's really upset, he's fired up. Maybe that's just how I am. So can you imagine in a high intense situation, there's a cop standing right there, and I'm sitting here talking with my hands, and all of a sudden his first initial thought is, because he's scared, is, oh man, this brother is tripping, he is upset, he's mad, I gotta react. See what I'm saying? Or on the flip side, you look at it as, which I thought was another brilliant example, he talked about from the black man's perspective of, let's say my father's gone, better yet, my father's dead, right? And let's sit here and say that I've never had a father. I'm not gonna allow this guy to talk to me like he's my father. A stranger with a badge and a suit to talk to me like he's my father, I'm not going down like that. There's a lack of communication, right? How can we help bridge? What is the starting point, right? Kneeling could have been the starting point. Now it's time to put tangible action to this, right? Something physical. Also, he mentioned with the music, you can't miscue the narrative with the music, right? You can with the kneeling. You can't with the music. You can't with whatever else they're gonna put on. Understand something, you don't make it to $1 billion by not being smart and by not being calculated. That just absolutely does not happen. It's not gonna happen, right? So Jay has something up his sleeve. This is a long-term thing. And a lot of people, obviously, we have people who have a short-term mindset. But if you walk in here with the long-term or with the end goal in mind, you're not worried about what people are saying the day of, the day after. Who cares? Who cares what they say? They don't see the vision. They don't see the vision. And Jay's probably not really caring about what Joe from Montana with 1,000 followers has to say. Hey, he don't even care what Zay has to say, right? At the end of the day, doesn't. That's it. He's a billionaire. He's making moves, making impact, power moves. But people just got to give him the benefit of the doubt because his track record speaks for itself. I honestly believe that that's what you got to do. He also talked about a situation in the NBA because right now the NBA is at the forefront of social justice. People like how aware they are, and people like the way that they have progressed. So he talked about in the NBA how there's a situation in the 70s. Mac Ball, I want to say is the name. Forgive me if I butchered it, but he was a Muslim player in the NBA who did not want to stand for the anthem. The very next year he was out the league. Now look at the NBA. Right? Like, so a very identical situation has happened in the league that we view as the most progressive. A very similar situation happened, and now look at where they are. While I can't tell you who initiated the change, you get good people in there, such as Adam Silver, who I think is a progressive and forward thinker. I think that you're able to get a lot of stuff done. Some people are going to say Jay-Z's just going to be the I guess the poster boy of it, maybe to ease the pain or whatever. Just give it time. I'm not saying that's completely out of the question, but just give it time. You have to absolutely understand this guy's track record. Like I just keep speaking on his track record because it really does speak for itself. It absolutely speaks for itself. But you know, beyond anything else, man, you just got to stop living through the internet, because what the internet tells you is honestly to do the complete opposite of what makes you successful in the long run. The internet tells you that whenever you're upset with somebody, cancel them out, right? X out all type of communication, block them, move forward. And that's not how you get anything accomplished. And to Jay's point, that's what he mentioned. He said, you know, man, with the NFL or whatever, like, whenever somebody's mad at somebody, y'all just want to stop talking to them. That's not how you get stuff done. Communication is key. Communication is probably going to be at the forefront of problem solving. How about that? Right? But the issue is, nowadays, people don't want to communicate. You offend somebody, nobody's happy about that. People just want to never talk to you again. Oh, he's canceled. She's canceled. Like right now, Jay's canceled, I guess. What all that man's done now, he's canceled. Right? It's crazy. That would literally be like me in a situation I'm in right now. I have a problem with somebody who is close in my life. Am I just supposed to expect that the problem will just vanish into thin air after 4 or 5 years, after never speaking to that person? That would be idiotic, correct? The way that we progress, if I want to get this problem solved with said person, you got to talk it through. You got to talk about it. That's the way to get stuff fixed. Hey, but what do I know? What do I know? What do I know? I think that we're moving in the right direction. If you're a fan of the NFL and you want to see change, and you want to maybe help try to use something to bridge a gap, I think that this could be a good start. I really do. As I sip my morning tea, I think it could be a good start. I don't see why it couldn't be. Kneeling was a great start. It was a great initiative. Now it's time to keep the ball rolling. You can only march for so long. You can only kneel for so long. You know, you can only have a sit-in for so long. You can only boycott for so long. Now it's time to put some action into place. Last quote that I'll read. It said, Jay-Z is now able to use his new relationship with the NFL to more broadly and effectively advance his justice initiatives. There you go. There you go. Let's give the man a chance. I mean, the season hasn't even started yet. Takes time. Absolutely takes time. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this has. I told you all last week, I'm excited for the NFL season. I'm excited for the Super Bowl. I'm excited to see how everything pans out. Also, listen to the interview. If you care about this, listen to the interview. Go online, watch the interview. Well, I keep saying interview, press conference. Press conference. Watch the press conference. It's really good, man. It's really insightful. And again, you could say that I'm eating right now. You could say that I'm riding, whatever. But when Jay talks, I listen. Again, it goes beyond just the music. The music is just an added layer, but it's because of what he's provided to the culture, and because of the positive impact that he shed on black people. That's really important. He's giving black people a good name, and that's very, very important. Albeit it's in the entertainment business, but regardless, that's very important. Very, very important to me. And again, I just have the utmost faith in Hove because he ain't let me down. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't done it. Again, this one wasn't going to be long. There's a good chance that this could actually be on the YouTube. I do have visual footage that I'm working on, so hey, shout out to that. I'm excited. And again, guys, thank you all for listening. I cannot thank you all enough. Football season's almost here, almost around the corner. Baseball season's picking up right now. Playoffs almost coming through. I got on my Nats hat right now. Boys putting in work. Blew it last night to the Pirates. But bats been swinging heavy. A lot of offense been going on right now for the Nats. So it's looking good. It's looking good. They're probably going to secure the wild card spot. I don't know if they can catch up to Atlanta, although they're like 5.5 games back of the Braves. I just don't know if they can really catch up to Atlanta. But the wild card games always make me nervous in baseball. It's crazy that you play 160 games, 162 games, and the two wild card teams literally play one game to get into the rest of the playoffs. I just think that's kind of wild. But regardless, nonetheless, this is the rules. Got to take it how it is. But I'm excited. I think that I will hopefully, fingers crossed, be going to some Nats playoff games, plural, this year. Guys, again, thank you all for listening. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. To the YouTube audience, if this does indeed go up on YouTube, thank you all for checking me out. Expect more visuals. Expect a better setup. This is the first time. It's a rough draft. Bear with me. I really appreciate you. Again, this has been The Other Side. Peace.